That was a show, for those of you who switched over from Manhattan Neighborhood Network, that was, apparently the stream loops itself. So that's why it was playing from the beginning, and I didn't realize that the show was off the air. Ugly George told me that the Village Voice is interested in his work, and that the work that we were doing on public access to talk more about his life was very helpful, because I think all people who produce articles in publications, either that you read or the new media with video or with radio, you're trying to get information out that's going to help people to make their lives better and more constructive, and to try to, with the help of journalism, to assist with the experience of the journalist or who the journalist trusts as good researchers, through their help, look at things that are usually difficult to look at. And a big interest of mine is pedophilia, and I felt that Ugly George, the experience that he had, both with the attention that he got in the media, both the positive and the negative attention. They always say there's no such thing as bad publicity. But I do think in the case of advancing a society's moral strength, spiritual strength, then I do think we have to distinguish between negative and positive publicity and deal with the negative publicity and see, is it true? Is there something we as media people should take a look at? Or is it something that's not completely understood, as in the case of our governor who was kicked out of office, the young lady that he was with, that everybody's all riled up because he had to pay $5,000 an hour for. She said it was more complicated, and there was another side of the story. So I also know that Josh Walensky had indicated from one of the Josh is able to network into all areas of society here in Manhattan. So he was at a diner with some of these higher-priced call women, and she said that when he asked what the going rate was, she said, no individual can pay these rates. These are done apparently under corporate expense, what do you call it when you go out to eat and drink and things? Anyway, it's put under that. So I think people get sort of overly emotional over these issues, and they don't look at the fact that it's not the $5,000 an hour prostitute that the taxpayer is paying for, but it's how the people are making choices that involve, say, for example, our utilities. I know my utilities have doubled within a couple years. So when you have that kind of flagrant abuse going on, these sex scandals distract us from the real issues. They probably get guys thinking, well, why can't I have, sexy women like that? They're not looking at it. And then the women aren't looking at it because, I guess they're jealous of the high-priced prostitutes. But my hope is that we can move forward and look at all of this carefully, and it will help 9/11 Truth. So now I want to go and see if I can make a phone call to, I think it's to New Mexico.
Verizon, your company office. This is Karen.
Is this Karen Johnson?
No, this is her assistant.
I'd like to know if I can talk to Karen Johnson. My name is Paula Gloria, and I have a daily show here in Manhattan, and I'm very interested in her position about 9/11 Truth, as I've been working on it.
Paula, can I call you back? I'm actually talking to her on the phone, and I'm in kind of a rush.
Okay.
Can you give me your number?
212-982-0021.
Okay, I'll give you a call back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. So if any of you have a call while I'm waiting for a call back from Karen S. Johnson's office, call in. Otherwise, I'll be wrapping up the stream and having some breakfast myself. So. Rabbit Hole Central.
A quick call while you're waiting the call coming in.
Thank you, Harold.
Yeah, good. Okay, I don't know, you're going to talk to a Karen Johnson in Mexico?
New Mexico. She's apparently bringing to the states, to Arizona, excuse me, to the...
So you're going to keep your phone, you're going to keep the stream going now then while you wait for her to call back?
No, I think I'll turn it off.
You are going to turn off the stream.
Yeah,
Okay, well, it's good to talk to you, good to see you.
But stand by, and isn't it nice to know that people, that 9/11 truth is advancing so much?
It is? I didn't know that it was. But
Well,
that's interesting that it is. There's
but
a
I'm
lot
just
going on.
no,
right?
but I'm
That's
just
really good.
But I'm just telling you, she's a state senator or Congress?
State.
She's a state senator in Arizona, and
Plains.
she's bringing it up to them. But of course, she's a
Okay.
she's a plane hugger, so you know we're concerned about that.
Right.
You know,
okay, good. Well,
we
I
have
just
the most.
hello and say hello to everyone and all that kind of stuff. And
Thank you,
life
Harold.
goes on, and there's a lot going on.
Thanks, Harold.
So you're going to turn the stream off?
Hey, are you watching the stream?
Yes, I am. There's a little bit of a hum in the background, but it's okay. Now, who is Karen Johnson?
Karen Johnson is she's a senator, a senator in Arizona who's bringing 9/11 truth into the assembly.
What do you mean she's bringing it into the assembly?
Well, just like there was a what do they call them, a member of parliament in Japan, Fujihita, who Nico Haupt and I called a couple months ago. He brought it to the attention of the Japanese. And this lady is in Arizona. She's doing the same kind of thing.
She's going to do what exactly?
She's going to tell people that airplanes don't knock over buildings, and that this has led to a dreadful policies on many levels.
So what is she going to say that did not go? I mean, how is she going to work this into a state bill or state proclamation? What is she going to do about that?
Well, we're concerned that without the complete information, you're not going to make the best choices, because the people who are saying the official version doesn't work, when they start talking about airplanes being ignored in stand-down orders, they start, first of all, working on blame, and then they put the blame at the wrong feet. How can an air traffic controller call to people's attention that an airplane's off course if there never was an airplane off course? So,
but supposedly they did call that off course, did they?
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's different levels of 9/11 truth, and here at Rabbit Hole Central, we're very concerned that if you don't have the clearest perception and the best knowledge, you are going to be distracted, and you're not going to come up with the best policy for the most people.
But at least she's calling it to people's attention.
That's the incremental approach, and you also know in spirituality that's the same thing. You know, you have to sort of work yourself up. You go off hamburgers first, and then you're on fish, and then you're down to vegetables, and then you're up to air, and then other people.
Being a no-planer.
And then some people say, you know, it doesn't matter what you're eating. So the point is that we want to really know what happened during 9/11, and
so
we know.
What is this woman saying happened?
Well, we feel that right now what's allowed to go out has to do with the 9/11 so-called truth movement, but we call it the 9/11 block truth movement. So you know, we want to talk to her about it.
I think it's still a positive movement forward.
Yeah, I mean,
but she's questioning things, you know.
Yes, but you don't want people questioning and then winding up with incomplete knowledge where they're angry, depressed, disappointed, or they're using it for a personal, you know, people want to jump on the 9/11 bandwagon because it looks kind of groovy and cool.
Right, which a lot of people have done, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you want to empower people. That's why I support you. I may not agree with you, but I support you because you want to empower people.
Always, always. And I think one test of knowledge is, how is it making your personal relationships? How does it make your family life? How does it make you feel about your relationship to nature's abundance? Mm-hmm. You know, I think these criteria, you can sort of go down the list, and you can see that many cults are okay for a little while, perhaps, like a little tree might have to be protected from the great wind, but pretty soon, when it starts getting bigger, it needs to have the restrictions taken away so it can grow big and mighty and be its own sovereign.
Like training wheels on a bicycle, you think?
Yeah, but some people learn bikes better without training wheels. So I think the times are coming that we don't have that kind of time. We don't have that luxury for these hangout positions and endless discussions. Let's just go and take a look at the big corporations that are having conferences and meetings and websites and very specific about the weapons that could bring about that type of destruction. And you'll see that it matches. You know, this weapon produces this
But
destruction.
you saw that 60 Minutes thing about energy weapons, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that was like a few months ago. They talked on 60 Minutes about energy weapons.
What's kind of interesting is I saw something that Nico put on the 9/11 stream that looked to be against us no planers, and it was a discussion with Judy Wood, who's an engineer, a professor of structural engineering. Is it structural engineering? And the question was actually posed to her: what can make concrete or steel into dust?
Mm-hmm. And what did she say?
She started to answer it. There's
what
an
was
answer.
It that can make concrete into dust?
Well, let me tell you, it wasn't thermite.
What was it?
I have to go back and listen.
Well, I think that's very important for your case if you want to, express, your case.
No, there's no question we have to assemble the knowledge about our weaponry, which for the past 50 years has been under the sort of what they call it black operations. And although it's theoretically funded by taxpayers' money, taxpayers don't know about it. On the other hand, some people say that taxes don't account for that much of our economy anyway, and that this money and research is done privately. And that's why you can start to see private armies growing, in which case our government that so much of the left liberals hate and fear is actually so fragile and so weak because first of all, it doesn't have this huge financial backing that these private industries do, and yet they take our boys to war,
Did you read the 1984 quote by George Orwell that I sent you?
Yes, I did, and I actually quoted it in total on Christine Ebersol's blog, and I also called to her attention a few things. One is George Orwell, to me, is not as profound as reading the Vedas.
In what way?
I don't get a good feeling when I read the book. Not just that it's about a bleak topic, but when I read scripture or really deep knowledge that's left by masters, there's an understanding of all sides of creation, the positive and the negative.
Oh, because he didn't have any positive remedy to the government control over people's lives, right?
Yeah, you just get kind of an icky feeling.
He just presented the negative side of it.
Yeah, and even with Kathy O'Brien's story, Transformation of America, when I went to India and I started to learn more about the left-hand path or Agori and the sexual energies, you begin to see that there is this potential for abuse, but at least you get the clearer knowledge. Like, for example, they would take a little girl and start giving her poison at a young age, and by the time she grows into sexual maturity, any man that has sex with her will die. Because the poison's transferred through her, through her vagina, through the tender membranes.
That's true?
That was told in Svoboda's book with that Agori. And it's so horrifying, but the thing is it still made a lot more sense than the way Transformation of America was written. The very way the book was written, they would do funny plays on words and stuff that sort of made you as the reader kind of confused. Whereas this was straightforward. Give a little girl poison. By the time after years go by, she comes to sexual maturity. Then you can use her as a weapon if you want to get rid of, some kind of political rival, and they would never know what would happen.
So you think Transformation of America was the embodiment of what Orwell called doublespeak, where
there was something about the book.
There's contradictory meanings within the
Yes, let's put it this way. It certainly shocked me. It certainly horrified
Like
me.
the Kathy O'Brien.
Yeah, it got me to go to a master to say, if you're really talking about how Jesus did the healings, well, buddy, you know, what about this? And in the case of Swami Kaleshwar, he said, yeah, you know, I will show you the sexual energies. I will explain to you how to heal something even this bad. And in the process of doing it, I didn't even want to tell, you know, a holy, squeaky clean Swami, because
Not so squeaky clean. You know,
well, that
Miho.
no, well, Mihal didn't say that about him, Alan.
Huh?
Mihal didn't say that about him.
No. But what did people say about themselves? I would say, you know, everyone had to visit their dark side in order to understand the deeper level of truth. You know
Well,
that. You've even done that.
No, but I want to be very careful how I portray Swami Kaleshwar.
No, he is a great
You know,
master,
I mean,
and I think
in the
he's
case-
aware
in the
of
case-
the whole realm of human experience.
Yeah, but let's go very slowly, because to quote Mihal Ledwith, who's a Catholic priest,
Well,
I think.
forget that. Just
But then don't bring it up, because it's not fair to mix metaphors.
well, I wasn't mixing metaphors. It's just that he said we're not all squeaky clean.
Okay, a Catholic priest was telling me once what Alan's reminding me.
No, you
That
don't have
he-
to go into that.
Well, but if you bring it up, this is
Well,
farther
no,
down
I'm
the
talking
rabbit hole.
about
I go into
masters,
these
and
things.
You talk about Swami being clean. I say that, you know, a master is not someone who's clean because they need to experience the totality.
I definitely want to go there, Alan, but I want to go there very carefully, because you have to be careful with viewers. I get the comments on YouTube, and it's very important to go very methodically, especially in the area of sexual abuse. Now, it certainly is true that somebody who's been abused very well can become an abuser, and the influence that somebody used on him to abuse him, the abusee, can absorb those skills of persuasion and convince other people to do things that if they were in a neutral position, they. Now, Swami Kaleshwar was trying to show me that all that I had learned with transcendental meditation, decades of meditating, going into a state of transcendence, was itself, he didn't say this in these many words, but over the time that I spent with him, he said, there is such a thing as religious abuse. And religious abuse means if after decades you are mechanically doing a spiritual practice that pretty soon as you get older, you're doing just to be able to sleep better at night, that's abuse.
That's what he was saying about TM, huh?
That's what he was implying, not only about TM, but he also told me nothing is wasted. So in other words, my familiarity with those subtler realms was something that could be useful if he could come along, or another master could come along and explain the totality of the energies. And my horror at the sexual abuse that Kathy O'Brien was talking about made me just an ideal candidate for him to say, how much do you want it? Because in order to get there, as you know, Alan, it took a lot of commitment.
Right.
To be at his ashram and to go through those procedures. When people say, oh, there's no such thing as miracles, well, how come my breasts got bigger when they were doing miracles? How come somebody who had a tumor in her ovaries
obviously either haven't seen the miracles, or they don't have a belief system that's capable of encompassing miracles because they've been brainwashed by
Can you blame them?
society.
Can you blame them, though? I mean, like I'm saying.
Well, they have to break out of their conditioning.
But that's what I want to say, Alan. If my breasts got bigger while the miracles were going on, even if I wasn't in the room, and if somebody who had a tumor in her ovaries, if it doubled in size within the week or so that process was being built up, then that means that being in these energy fields does have an effect.
Well,
And it's something very
sure,
real.
anyone who's sensitive would be able to know that because you feel it.
Yeah, so that explains also. You know, I went up to my hairdresser's the other day, and he was told that he may need a liver transplant, and I said, oh my God, you know, I know about the underground, you know, organ business, and it's just so grisly, and I said, please, you know, let's look at some other alternatives, and so I did some hands-on with him, and you know, he just transformed, and he was that was a couple of weeks ago, and I felt that, you know, they can get you in a weak moment and they say, oh, you have to wait forever to get a liver, but wink, wink, you know, I can get you fast-tracked. I can get you a liver right away.
Pay someone off, you're saying?
I don't even want to go there on this show, but I convinced, he was ready to blow dry my hair, and all of a sudden I said, stop. Let me take you over on this couch right now. And I ran the energy through him, and he really, really mellowed out. He felt much more peaceful. And I think then would be in a better position to sit down with the doctor to go over the studies, the reports that they do, and say, is this really necessary? And that was a couple weeks later. He was much stronger yesterday. He didn't even seem like he needed a healing, but, by the end of being with me for a couple hours, I could see he was getting all, his energy was getting a little bit hyper. And so I put him on the sofa again, and he was just so peaceful. And I said, you know what? I have 120 emails to go through myself. Let's just skip the movie that we were going to see together. And I came back to work on that. But I think if we learn how to help each other, hands-on healing is an important thing. Sometimes people just need a loving touch,
Yeah.
and it will help them out. So.
All right. I just wanted to see what that woman, Karen Johnson, was up to.
Yeah, well, let's see if she answers back, and if she does, I will start up the stream again.
Well, she might have been trying to get through, or do you have call waiting?
No, I have call waiting. Or maybe, sometimes it does bounce to my
When I
email.
called before, when Harold was on, it just bounced right through to the
I know.
voice message.
I know. So let me end the
bye.
stream, have breakfast, and I will talk to you soon, okay, Alan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, have fun.
Thanks for the conversation.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So I'm going to end the stream, and I'll start up again if we get a call back from Karen S. Johnson, who's from Arizona, state senator.